12-year-old boy shows up at a stranger's front door. He's asking for food and for water. His body is thin, his skin is damaged, and wrapped around his ankles is duct tape. Then you find out he's not running from a stranger. He's actually running from his mother's friend's house where he's been locked up. You pause, trying to process if this is even real. And when you call the police, you don't even really fully know what to say. Your words come out mumbled and unsure, like you don't actually believe what you're saying is even happening. Inside that house, the police would also find his sister, locked in a closet. She's not speaking, she's malnourished, and so afraid she wouldn't even move for hours. And here's the part that should make your stomach turn. This wasn't really hidden, not something buried in the dark. This was a family that millions of people were watching online. They had a YouTube channel built on parenting advice, discipline, and control, but when the truth came out about what was actually happening behind that camera, it wasn't what I'd call, or what anyone should call, parenting. It was abuse. And the woman at the center of it all was known as Ruby Franke, a mother, a family vlogger, and, in my opinion, an absolute piece of shit. And honestly, the whole concept of posting your kids online like that, that's a whole other conversation. One that honestly deserves its own video, because there's a lot to unpack there. But what Ruby did to her kids, that goes way beyond strict parenting and way beyond tough love. This is a story about control, manipulation, and how something that looked completely normal online slowly turned into something a lot darker. Now, before we get into it, I do want to just take a quick second. If you've been here before, welcome back. You might have noticed there's been some changes to the channel lately, and honestly, I would really love to know what you think about them. And if you're new here, this is Cody After Dark, where I dive deep into cases like this one. So if you're into this kind of content, or find yourself coming back, feel free to hit the subscribe button and stick around. Now today, we're breaking down the story of Ruby Franke, a family vlogger who built an audience off parenting and is now sitting in prison for what she did to her own kids. So, grab a light and let's step into the dark together. Before any of this made headlines, before any of the arrests or any of the body cam footage, Ruby Franke was known for something completely different. She was just a mom, and the face behind a family vlogging YouTube channel called 8 Passengers. But Ruby wasn't the only one in her family on YouTube. Her sisters were already creating content and building audiences just by sharing their lives online. From what's been said online in interviews, it seems like seeing that success may have played a role in Ruby starting her own channel. Now, whether that was about sharing her life or something else, that part's up for interpretation. What we do know is once she started the channel, it didn't take long for it to grow. If you were just casually watching it, it looked normal. They had a big family, 6 kids, and what seemed like a structured home. Kind of content that sits somewhere between relatable chaos and aspirational parenting. But even early on, there was something about it that felt a little off. Ruby wasn't just documenting her life, she was documenting how her kids were being raised, but not in a casual way. It was shown in a very specific way. Everything was about discipline, obedience, and consequences. And I mean, on paper, that doesn't sound bad. There are a lot of parents who believe in structure. and believe in teaching responsibility to their kids. But with Ruby, it didn't feel like guidance. It felt like control.
So tell us who you're named after.
Grandpa.
Which grandpa?
Correct.
Okay, we're gonna try this again. You be a little more talkative here.
I am. I'm talking, answering your questions.
Hey! If I hear one more word, get out! If I'm gonna let you
I don't.
vlog, and if I'm gonna spend all my time helping you, you're gonna help me too.
What to do?
Be excited to tell them where your name came from, even if you have to fake it. Fake being happy. Okay?
I don't know if I can right now.
Ruby grew up in Utah in a deeply religious household connected to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, also known as the LDS Church or Mormonism. It's a belief system that places strong emphasis on family structure, obedience, discipline, and clearly defined roles within the home. And in environments like that, those ideas can become very rigid, where obedience isn't just encouraged, it's expected, and questioning authority isn't really an option. Later in life, Ruby married Kevin Franke, a professor at Brigham Young University, and together they built a life that, from the outside, looked very put together. And that's the thing about this story, because from the outside, everything always seemed put together. Ruby launched the 8 Passengers YouTube channel in 2015. The name was pretty simple considering there were 8 people in the family, so it worked. And the channel grew fast, over hundreds of thousands of subscribers, then millions, and by 2020, in only 5 years, they had racked up over 1 billion views. There was 1 billion people watching this family, watching their routines, their discipline, and watching their punishments. That's where things started to change, because at the beginning, it was easy to miss. There were these small moments, there were little things started to feel uncomfortable, like a kid being embarrassed on camera, a punishment that felt a little too harsh, or a reaction that didn't quite sit right. But I mean, if you questioned it, it was easy to brush off as different parenting styles, maybe a bit stricter household, or just even by saying, that's not really how I do it. But the more people watched, the harder it became to ignore. People started to realize this wasn't just a family being filmed, it was a family being controlled on camera. And the worst part about it is some of the most disturbing moments weren't even attempted to be hidden. They were filmed and uploaded for millions of people to see. Like what? Those moments that they showed, in my opinion, and according to thousands of others, wasn't just strict parenting. It was something else entirely. Something that should never have been normalized, let alone monetized. Now, this is where the cracks start turning into something a lot harder to ignore.
Stop it! I know you're not, but it looks like you are. Okay, Russell. I'm only gonna say it one more time, and then you're gonna lose the privilege to eat dinner.
At some point, when those videos are being posted, people start to notice that it stopped feeling like a parenting style and starting to feel like something else. Their main YouTube channel, 8 Passengers, the one that had millions of subscribers and over 1 billion views, was eventually taken down, but only after everything came to light. And now what's left online is only fragments of what people were seeing at the time. While doing some digging for those fragments, I came across a channel that claims to be a second channel for 8 Passengers. And the description reads, "Greetings everyone. We've added a second channel, so now you will get even more content every week. Things can get crazy with 6 active kids, but we can find true joy in the journey if we love and support each other. Welcome to 8 Passengers. Look for our new videos every Tuesday through Sunday, with occasional bonus videos on Monday. That's how it feels like she would read it if it was read out loud. But to be honest, I have no idea if this is a genuine channel by Ruby or not, but it was created in 2019. So just about 4 years after the main channel. Now this channel is full of short vlog style videos, very similar to the original channel. And I went through and watched a lot of them. And honestly, nothing from them screams abuse. But there are subtle things that are said and done that feel heavily uncomfortable. So if you sit back and actually watch what's being posted, you start to notice a pattern and not just strict rules, but more control over her family in any way she can get it. And I just want to be clear, the second channel I found really doesn't have a lot. It's more things that look innocent, especially if you don't know how Ruby's story ends. Now, the original main channel shows moments that at first don't seem that extreme, but the more you sit with them, the worse they get. And we're gonna go over one of the most talked about examples involving Ruby's son Chad. At one point, while the camera is rolling, he reveals that he has been kicked out of his own room and made to sleep on a beanbag chair in the family living room. And at first you might think, man, that doesn't sound that bad. But then you look at it deeper and realize this wasn't just for a night or two. Chad was kicked out of his room for 7 months. That's insane to me. A teenage boy with very little privacy as it is, considering I'm pretty sure he shared a room with his brother, as he goes on to explain that the reason he lost his bedroom privileges is because he woke his younger brother up in the middle of the night and told him they were going to Disney World. A dumb prank that I feel siblings do to each other on a normal basis. But to lose not only his room, but his bed for 7 months? That sounds a little extreme to me. And I mean, I don't have kids, so if I'm wrong, let me know. But I honestly couldn't see any situation where I would lock a teenager, out of their room for 7 months. And to hit the nail on the coffin, this wasn't something that came out later. This was filmed and talked about in a vlog like it was completely normal. And you see Chad laughing about it in a way that makes it feel even more uncomfortable because he's reacting like this isn't the first or worst thing that's been done to him. And you see Ruby sitting beside him as he's telling the story laughing about it. Like this was just another parenting decision. But there is a moment. As Chad starts to tell it in a more joking way, Ruby immediately chimes in, no longer seeming jokingly, and states, "Do you think it's funny? 'Cause that was 7 months ago. Maybe you need longer without a bedroom."
Bedroom was taken away for 7 months and then you give it back like a couple weeks ago.
I don't think our viewers know that.
You've been sleeping on a beanbag.
I've been sleeping on a beanbag since October. And they gave my room back like 2 weeks ago. Oh, I'll give you the reason why I lost my bedroom. I think so. I think this is the reason. At least this is the reason that's been in my head. It's pretty funny, but now that I look back, I mean, it's pretty depressing.
No, we never told our viewers.
That I woke Russell up at 2 in the morning and told him that we're going to Disneyland and he has to pack. And he got up and made his bed all neatly and then packed all his clothes in a suitcase. And then he walked out the door and I'm like, Russell, he was like, what? And he's all happy. Has his sunglasses on.
Do you think it's funny? Because
And then I walk out.
if you think it's funny, then that was 7 months ago. Maybe you need longer without a bedroom.
It was not funny.
Russell got the big bedroom and Chad got the smaller bedroom. And Russell's bigger bedroom also had a bathroom. But what you guys didn't know was Chad didn't get any room. He didn't get anything. He was sleeping on the floor in the family room.
The whole thing to me just feels gross. And just you wait, because it doesn't stop there. There's another moment that involves her younger daughter at the age of 6 years old. Her daughter's teacher reaches out saying she didn't have a lunch and asks Ruby if she can bring one for her. And Ruby's response, well, first of all, she turns on a camera and starts vlogging. Then, what she says to the teacher, which is a big fat no, because her daughter should have made it herself, and that the natural consequence was that she would go hungry. Bitch, she's fucking 6 years old. And then, to make matters even worse, she doubles down by saying she hopes no one gives her food. And I don't care how you try to frame that. That's not discipline, it's just cruelty. The kid is 6.
I just got a text message from Eve's teacher, and she said that Eve did not pack a lunch today, and can I bring a lunch over to the school? This happens quite often when you're raising children, because I know that her teacher is uncomfortable with her being hungry and not having a lunch, and it would ease her discomfort if I came to the school with a lunch. But I responded and just said Eve is responsible for making her lunches in the morning, and she actually told me she did pack a lunch. So the natural outcome is she's just going to need to be hungry, and hopefully nobody gives her food and nobody steps in and gives her a lunch.
And believe it or not, it keeps on going. At one point, Ruby takes all of her kids' belongings, puts them into a garbage bag, and tells her kids that if they want their things back, they need to pay for them with actual cash, or by doing an equivalent chore to the cost of what they want. But that's not all, because whatever they don't buy back gets thrown away by the end of the day. Now, I don't know exactly why their stuff was taken, or what Ruby and Kevin are giving this punishment for. But honestly, either way, to me, it seems a little bit out of line.
So you're all like, what? I have your attention now?
Mm-hmm.
Is that it? You're all
None of my
gonna
stuff
listen?
is in there, so.
If you have something in the bag that you would like out, you can pay cash for it. So you learn the value of your items. Or you can give what? Dad, I'll let you take the conversation from here.
You can do an equivalent value chore to get it back.
What's it?
And whatever isn't claimed by the end of the day goes in the garbage.
I know there were times when I was growing up when my parents would tell me they were going to donate my things to people who would take care of them if I didn't start. But not once did that ever actually happen. And from the later interviews I watched and looked into, all of the kids lost a lot that day, especially the younger ones who didn't have real money to pay. And all of it is framed as a lesson, like they're teaching the value of their belongings, teaching them responsibility and consequences again. Now, I do wish there was more context as to why their stuff was taken, but I wasn't really able to find any credible sources from the reasoning behind it. But with or without context, if you really step back and look at it, it's not about any of those things. It's about control. Ruby wants to show that she can take away whatever she wants, whenever she wants, and there isn't anything that they can do about it. Ruby had control over their sleep, control over what they eat, and when they eat. Because as much as that one clip of Ruby and her 6-year-old, there are many more moments in vlogs that show Ruby saying she's going to take away food as a punishment. And eventually, that control doesn't just stay inside the house. It actually follows someone outside of it. Because at one point, Ruby sends Chad away to a wilderness therapy program. And on paper, it seems like a place where struggling teens go to reset, to learn discipline, and to rebuild themselves, but what that actually looks like is something very different. Kids dropped into the wilderness for weeks with no phones, no normal contact, hiking miles every day, sleeping outside, and surviving with almost nothing. Well, with what the program gives you to start with. Now, to be fair, some people say programs like this helped them, that it gave them structure, some discipline, and even some of them said it gave them a sense of purpose. Then there are others that report that it felt more like punishment than anything else. So when you look at Ruby's pattern, this doesn't feel like help, it feels like escalation. Like normal teenage behavior was being treated like something needed to be fixed. Now, not long after this, someone else enters the picture. Someone who takes the mindset that Ruby has and pushes it even further. Now at some point, this whole thing stops being just about Ruby, because someone else enters the picture. A woman named Jodi Hildebrand. Now Jodi isn't just some random friend, she's a therapist, or well, at least she was. And she ran this program called Connections, and when you first hear about it, it honestly doesn't sound that bad. The program is all about accountability, living in truth, and being honest with yourself. And I mean, on paper, that sounds like something you'd actually want help with. Now, from what's been shared, Ruby doesn't just come across Jodi randomly. She gets introduced to her through therapy, and then starts working closely with her. Which is already ringing off major red flags for myself. Being in the industry of counseling and knowing how many boundaries seem to get crossed between these two, it's disgusting. Now at first, it just seems like she's giving her guidance. Someone who's helping her and validating the way she's already thinking. Then over time, it starts becoming more than that. Jodi starts influencing decisions and having a lot more involvement, until eventually, Jodi isn't just someone giving advice from a distance anymore. She becomes directly involved in their lives, spending time with them daily, working with not only Ruby anymore, but the whole family. And at certain points, the Franke family is even inside Jodi's home. Now this is where things really start to shift, because now the way they talk about the kids even starts to change. They're not just misbehaving anymore. They start being described as manipulative, deceitful, and they even use the word evil. In my opinion, once you start looking at a child like that, you're not really parenting anymore. You're trying to fix something that you believe is wrong with them, and that opens up the door to a lot of things that normally you'd never justify. Now, there's these other pieces of that I came across while looking into everything. Kevin, the father, in interviews, specifically on the documentary, talks about being in Jodi's house and experiencing things that he couldn't explain. And I don't mean just like, that felt weird. I mean things that he descriptively describes as paranormal. Now at one point, he talks about hearing what sounded like something crashing downstairs. So naturally, he goes to check it out. And when he gets down there, there's nothing. There's nothing that's out of place or broken. Nothing that could have even made that kind of noise. Now after hearing this, I got curious. So I decided to look up the house. And my god, this house is insane. Everything is windows. There are so many rooms. I'm gonna try to throw some photos up of what I found here, because I don't even know how to explain everything. But there's rooms galore, there's windows on the roof, the ceiling. Now, the space below where Kevin claims to hear this crash isn't just a normal basement. It looks like multiple unfinished rooms. All concrete walls, with heavy doors, almost like an end-of-the-world bunker-style setup. From what he explains in the interview, there isn't anything down there that would be able to make the noise that he heard. And from what I was able to find, that adds up. Then, there's another moment that he talks about. He says the house had windows everywhere. And again, that adds up. The house even has windows in the ceiling. So one day, he looks up at one of those ceiling windows and sees what he describes as a claw-like handprint dragging across the glass, and according to him, there's no way anyone could have even gotten up there. So what is that? Now, those are the major stories he talks about, but it doesn't just stop there. He talks about smaller things too, like objects moving on their own, unexplained noises, just things that didn't make sense. With everything that I've been seeing, I don't know, they continue to call Jodi evil, and there are claims that she was possessed. I don't know. These are just things that are going along with what Kevin says in this interview. And look, I don't know what he experienced, and I don't know what was actually happening in that house. And personally, I'm a pretty big believer in the paranormal and supernatural from my own personal experiences and beliefs. But, to be clear, I'm not sitting here saying that any of this was anything supernatural. I'm just saying, when you take all of that and you put it beside everything else, with the way the kids are being talked about, that their behavior is something darker, something evil, it starts to paint a pretty clear picture. And that picture is that this isn't just strict parenting anymore. This has now turned into a mindset where belief starts replacing logic, and instead of asking what's actually going on with these kids, they're starting to ask what's wrong with them. And that becomes dangerous because once you convince yourself that a kid is a problem, you can justify almost anything in your own head. Now, at this point, Kevin is still around. He's still in the house, and it's unclear if they're living at Jodi's at this point, but at some point they do start living with Jodi. He's still part of everything that's going on. But even he starts to push back. He doesn't agree with the things Jodi is doing or saying. He starts stating that he doesn't agree with the program she's running. And then eventually, Kevin actually just leaves. But his kids don't. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know everything. We don't know what was said behind closed doors. I have no idea what he fully knew or how much he was actually seeing in real time. But it still leaves me with questions like, how bad did it have to get before walking away felt like the only option? And if it was that bad that you just walked away, how could you just leave those kids there without even looking back? Now, once Kevin is gone, things get worse. Ruby becomes more isolated from Kevin, family, and from anyone who might question what's happening. In this kind of environment, outside voices aren't just ignored, they're seen as wrong, and inside that house, the kids are losing more and more control. They have less freedom, less communication with anyone, less connection to anything outside of that house. This is where it really crosses a line because now there is no one left to push back. And when that happens, things don't just stay bad, they keep escalating. Keep in mind, most of what's happening is still being recorded and uploaded, but Ruby has shifted from family mom vlogger sharing her life to working more on Jodi's connections program, telling others how to live their lives. Eventually, what's been happening behind closed doors starts becoming impossible to ignore.
Yeah.
Hi, I was just wondering if you could take me to the nearest police station. And I'm on the address of your emergency.
I just had a 12-year-old boy show up here at my front door asking for help. He's emaciated, he's hungry, and he's thirsty. His ankles are taped up, and he won't tell us why. He's obviously covered in wounds. This kid has obviously he's been detained. Ruby Franke is his mom's name. He says he just left through the porch at the neighbor's house. Her name is Jodi Hildebrand.
On August 30th, 2023, everything finally breaks. A 12-year-old boy shows up at a neighbor's house, and he's not just like knocking on the door asking for help, he's asking for food and water. And when the neighbor sees him, it's bad. He's thin, malnourished, and wrapped around his wrists and ankles is duct tape. This isn't a kid who's just trying to get out of trouble. This is a kid trying to survive. So the neighbor calls the police. And honestly, you can hear it in the call, the confusion and disbelief, like this doesn't even feel real. When officers arrive, it doesn't take them long to realize this is serious. This isn't just some kind of neglect, it's something much, much worse. The boy starts telling them what's been happening, and then he says something else, that his sister is still inside. So the police go right to the house, and when they get there, they find her locked in a closet, not speaking at all, malnourished, and so afraid she won't even move. From what's documented and reported, it takes hours before she does move. At some point, police put down a pizza and something to drink in front of her in what I imagine is an attempt to get her to interact. But it doesn't go as they think it will, because she just stares at it, completely still. And I think this is one of the most heartbreaking parts of this entire case, because it tells you everything that you need to know about what those kids have been going through.
Got movement right there. Got movement. Open the door! Jodi? I need you to step out.
I have my turn.
That's great. Step out of the house.
No, I'm not gonna step out of the
Step out
house.
of the house. Step out of the house.
Whoa.
We're just gonna see if
Whoa,
anybody
whoa.
else. Is there anybody else home?
Wait a minute, how do you come to my house?
Right there.
Look, they go into my house.
I'm a police officer. Are you okay? You need here? Hey, you okay? Is this just you in here? I'm Sergeant Tobler. What's your name? I just have one. Where's your sister at? You doing okay? You don't want to talk to me? Yeah, that's okay. Can you come with me though? We got Jodi out here. You know Jodi? You take your time, but I'm in no hurry. I'm a police officer. Did you know that? See this right here? It's a badge. It tells me I don't hurt people. I'm just here to make sure you're okay. The food? I'll get the screen, okay? You'll never worry. You can eat. There we go. Thanks, Dad. You're more than welcome to you. You need to know I want to. That's all you.
There's nothing I know you want to talk about. It's okay to talk to me. Are you scared? We helped your brother. And that's what we want to do for you. If we want to get you some help too.
Both kids are taken to the hospital, and when doctors examine them, it gets worse. There are signs of prolonged abuse, open wounds that have been treated at home with things like honey and cayenne pepper, anything that would help avoid taking them to the hospital. And then finally, Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrand are arrested.
Okay, so I just spoke, you can turn to face me. So I just spoke with Jodi, but you both are under arrest right now for child abuse. Okay, do you have any questions for me at this time? No questions? Okay, you can hop in.
You got him?
Yep.
So after everything that had been filmed, everything that had been posted, and everything people had questioned for years, it took the child escaping for it to finally stop. And man, I think that's the part that really gets to me, because it wasn't something hidden behind closed doors. It was online. People were watching this family, and it still got to this point. Oh, and one of the most disturbing parts out of all of it is that 12-year-old boy didn't think his mom would be arrested. He actually thought he was going to be. So somewhere along the way, he had been made to believe he was the problem. And that's what finally breaks everything open, because now it's not just clips online anymore, it's real. The truth behind the videos is out in the open and finally being seen for what they actually are.
Worshipping your child will be placing your child's desires over responsibility. I am kind of a crazy mom in that I love my kids to wear red, white, and blue. They have been wearing red, white, and blue every year since they were wearing clothes. You guys are gonna watch each other. I made dinner, but you have to eat dinner.
We will.
Got it? No.
Silly business.
I was gonna say hanky panky, but that's not right, I'm pretty sure. No silly business.
You yelled at me.
Shh. The fact that I yell at my kids is a secret. We don't want our viewers to know. You have to vote. Listen, if you do not vote for what fun you want, we will ensure you will have no fun at all. Put them in your pocket so you can take them down to the hamper and drop and give me 10.
1.
Put your hands straight out. They're in. They're not supposed to be out. Shape your hands forward. There you go. Eve, this is my tape. What are you doing? What are you doing to this poor baby? Should I tape your eyes to make you sleep?
Hi, my name is Ruby Franke. My 4 younger siblings are living in Springville, and my neighbors have been telling me that they have been left home alone for about 4 or 5 days.
Once police saw what was happening inside that house, there was no explaining it away anymore. There was no thought of different parenting styles, or that this is just how they do things. This was clearly abuse. So both Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrandt were taken into custody. But when you watch the footage of them being arrested, something feels off.
Okay, just place your hand on your back for me. Perfect. And then before you put you in a police vehicle, we need to search your person to make sure you don't have anything on you. Is there anything you have on you? Okay, I'm gonna search you before we put you in his car. That's just protocol, so I'm just gonna have you step right over here and then just widen your legs, widen your stance. Yep, perfect. Are you wearing a bra? Okay, I'm just gonna go like this through and make sure you don't have anything. All right, you're just gonna walk with Officer Hines.
So I trust my attorney. He said, don't say anything. And I said, I have nothing to hide. And he's like, I know that, but just let me be there with you when we talk. So you guys seem nice people.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to hide anything. I'm trying to be difficult. This is really, if you knew all the pieces, I think you'd have a lot of empathy.
Well, if you're not willing to answer any of the questions about yourself, would you be willing to answer any questions maybe about Ruby?
Jodi, we're gonna do this. You asked for your attorney, and we'll leave it at that. We'd like to maybe talk to you later when you have your attorney here present.
Absolutely.
All right. Appreciate your time. We'll have you hang tight in here, and then we'll come back and get you.
I introduced myself to you earlier, but my name is Detective Bates, and this is Sergeant Tobler. We're just here to talk to you about kind of a few things involving your kids. So first, do you live down here, or? Or do you live up north?
Do you want to talk to me about where you live or how many kids you have?
Maybe you want me to I can step out if you want.
Or if you feel more comfortable talking to him, I can step out.
I'll wait till I have a lawyer.
Okay. So you haven't talked to us at all?
I've already told you.
You want a lawyer?
All right, I'm gonna have you stand up, all right? Thank you. Go ahead and face this officer. Go ahead and put your hands on top of your head. You notice your finger, please. Thank you. Just put your hands on top of your head. You're good. Look to your left. Okay. Thank you. Nothing in your pockets. You have nothing on you at all. Put it on top of your head. Look to your left. Thank you. I just don't want to hit you in the head. I accident with the cup. Okay. Go down. Ready? Hop on in. We'll go out the front door that way. Hey, just hang on one second right here in the lobby, okay? Good. Make sure they're good. Trace, you want to let you know what criminal charges for, so you're under arrest? It's going to be 2 counts, second-degree felony of child abuse or neglect, okay? Do you understand that or no? Are you okay? I'm wondering if there's like a medical clearance that needs to, like, do you need medical attention before you go to the jail? Okay. All right, well, we'll have you, as soon as she gets down here, we'll bring you out, okay? Got it.
There's no panic, no clear moment of what have I done. For myself, it feels like when I'm watching it, they feel more inconvenienced. Like this is something happening to them, not something they caused. As more details start coming out, everything just keeps getting worse. Because now, we're not just looking at clips on Ruby's channel, we're hearing and seeing what was actually happening behind all of it. Like the kids being restrained, starved, and punished in ways that go way beyond anything reasonable. For me, the thing that sticks with me the most and makes me think about all of it is how that it wasn't just something happening before the arrests. It was something that was building over time and somehow, even with millions of people watching it, kept getting missed. Now I do know there were times where people said things, like in the comments, people would question things, even saying certain punishments felt off or too much. And there's even a claim that in 2020, a viewer actually went as far as calling Child Protective Services after seeing something that had been posted in one of the videos. But unfortunately, nothing ever came of it. From what I could find online, it does state that there was an investigation, but it was closed very shortly after. And I'm also not saying it's easy to be the one to say something when you're watching something through a screen. You never really are getting a full picture. But there were red flags, and a lot of them that should have been raising concern in the community Ruby was trying to portray to. But still, all those red flags somehow still weren't enough. It took that kid escaping for it to finally stop. Eventually, the charges were laid out. Multiple counts of aggravated child abuse. Very serious and deserved charges. Kind that reflect just how bad things actually were. So, in December of 2023, Ruby pleads guilty. But she didn't plead guilty to everything, just enough to avoid a full trial, and enough to secure a conviction. Now, when Ruby gets her moment to speak in court, she talks about influence, about being led while following someone else's guidance. And I mean, to me, it just doesn't sit right with me because, yeah, Jodi clearly had influence. I'm not saying that isn't the case, but at the end of the day, those were her kids. So why do you think you get to stand up there after everything they went through and act like you were just along for the ride? You were their mother, and instead of protecting them, you became the reason they needed protection. There isn't a single version of that makes any sense to me. In February 2024, the sentencing came down. Multiple counts and potentially decades in prison for not only Ruby, but also Jodi. And for a lot of people watching this in real time, that felt like justice. Like finally something being done. Then, here comes Kevin coming back into the picture now. We are going to cover Kevin a little more later because that whole situation doesn't sit right with me. It's very messy, in my opinion, and doesn't cleanly add up in any way. But before we do get into Kevin, there's still something about all of this that just doesn't sit right with me. And I know I've said it multiple times in this whole video, but this whole thing wasn't hidden. It wasn't something that was happening behind closed doors with no signs. It was all openly online for years. People watching this family and watching these moments constantly. Yet somehow it was still able to get to this point. And I just keep coming back to that. How something that looked so normal on the surface could actually be holding something so much worse underneath. And then it makes me think, how many other things like this are going on in the world right now that just haven't been seen yet? So when you actually sit with this whole case, that's the thing for me that makes it feel a whole lot heavier. And when it has to do with the children. Because the things that they went through will 100% shape a part of them and how they grow. And why is that fair to them, you know? Remember when I said we were going to come back to Kevin? Yeah, we're going to go over that now. Because after everything we've just gone through, what those kids had to live through, right after the arrest of their mother, somehow their father Kevin ends up back in the picture. And I'm going to be honest, him just walking back in there like he was never part of any of this, it doesn't really sit right with me. Now, I need to be very clear. Everything I'm about to say about Kevin is my opinion, based on what I've been able to find. He has not been charged with or accused of physically harming the children. And to be fair, I'm sure I don't know everything. I don't know every conversation, what was happening behind closed doors. I also don't know exactly what he knew or when he knew it. And that does matter, because it's easy to look at something like this with hindsight and say what someone should have done. But even with that thought in mind, there are still questions from what I do know. Like this didn't just happen overnight. It was a pattern with punishments getting worse, control getting tighter, and things clearly starting to cross the line. And Kevin was there during that. He was in those videos going along with it. And he's even in some of the video clips that I've shown in this video. And at some point, he even made a claim that he didn't agree where things were going. That he didn't agree with Jodi or her program. And then he just left without the kids. That's the part that I just can't get past. Not in an accusing way, just in a how do you walk away like that? Like seriously, how do you see things are getting worse the way they were to even stating that you don't agree with it and still leave your kids in that environment? I don't know. Maybe there's more to it with details that we don't have. But from the outside looking in, it just doesn't sit right with me. Oh, and just when I thought that was it was just those assumptions that I was making, I came across police body cam footage that was taken 2 days after Ruby was arrested. 2 days. Keep in mind, this is after everything has been coming out publicly about what these kids had been going through and what conditions that they were found in. In that footage, Kevin is talking to 2 officers while retrieving items that his daughter had taken, and he's asking the officers to explain why this is not robbery. And once the officers explain the reasoning, he states that he'll have to do more research on that. Like he doesn't agree with them or something. And I want you to just sit with that for a second after I show you this clip. Keep in mind, this is 2 days after his kids were found. Starved, restrained, and living in those conditions. And this is where his focus is. Just really watch the way he inspects his belongings as they're handed to him.
Is it all there?
Yes. Yeah, explain to me again why this was not robbery.
Because it's a civil issue. It's you guys are family. She's been in the house before. You haven't been in the house in a year. She had interest in the items. She didn't take them with the intention to deprive you of them. So theft, that's the theft code. We have to prove intent to deprive you of the items. And that wasn't her intent in having them. So the detective sergeant said that we're not going to charge her for anything.
Okay. I'll have to do some more research on that.
You're welcome to do that. If you want to follow up with her, text me yourself.
Yeah, he'll be here on Tuesday. His name's Sergeant McCoy. Okay. You're welcome. Take care.
Every time I watch it, I don't know what to say. Again, I'm not saying that he knew everything, but I am saying that it doesn't make sense. And maybe you all feel different, which is fair if you do. Although, I'd love for you to let me know what your opinions are down in the comments. I'm definitely interested to see what everyone's thought on this part is. Like maybe there's context there that I'm missing. But when you look at everything as a whole, I don't really feel like the context should even matter at this point. Shouldn't the focus be taking care of those children and making sure they know someone loves them properly? Anyway, that's my rant on Kevin. There's something just odd about it. But again, there has never been any charges laid against him or anything stated of his involvement. So at the end of all of this, there's really only one thing that matters at the end of everything else, and that's the kids. Because no matter how you look at this story, no matter who you blame, or what questions still don't have answers, they're the ones that had to live through this. And everything that has come out since, it does look like they're finally in a place where they can start to heal. The 2 older kids have been building lives of their own. Chad is working in real estate and has been on a handful of interviews. He's even done some humorous TikToks and short videos about his mother and the situation. He does seem to have a killer sense of humor about everything. And Sherry has been very open about one thing in particular, and that's privacy. She's made it clear that her life, her relationships, and her future family, that's hers and it won't be content. Not something for strangers to get to consume. And honestly, good on her. If there's anything this whole situation shows, it's that not everything is meant to be shared. And just because something looks normal through a screen doesn't mean that it really is. It's easy to miss things when you're only seeing what someone chooses to show you. How many red flags can easily get explained away? And yeah, there were people that spoke up. People who questioned it. But at the same time, a lot of people were watching and didn't see it for what it really was. Now, I'm not blaming anyone, because when everything is filtered through a camera, you're never getting the full story. I do think, though, it's a reminder to pay attention to the things that feel off, even when they're subtle. I am curious, though. After hearing all of this, what do you think? Do you think it could have been stopped earlier? Or was this always something that was going to end the way it did? If you've made it this far, I appreciate you watching. And if you enjoyed the video and find yourself coming back, consider hitting the subscribe button and sticking around. I try my absolute best to post a long video every 2 weeks. And I do really appreciate everyone being patient with me while I was sick and I did miss that upload. But we're all sorted now and we're back on track. Stories like this aren't always easy to talk about, but that's why they matter. Because sometimes the darkest things aren't always hidden. Sometimes they're right in front of us. I really hope you enjoyed, and until next time, stay curious, stay brave, and stay spooky. See ya.